again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can come on in and get caught up on some of the latest news involving our Cleveland Browns and get a take or two along the way. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and thank you to everyone who has liked our episodes and has subscribed to the channel and have gotten their comments down there in the viewer comment section. I really appreciate it. We're close to 6,000. You know what I was thinking? If we got to 6,000, maybe I'll wear a different shirt or something. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll get to 6,000. Maybe I'll wear something different. But I digress. Let's get to what's on today's show. Hey, in the hours after mandatory minicamp ended, some people started looking around and saying, you know what? One of the rooms may be a little deeper than we think. Also, everybody shaking their heads when they look at those stats put up by Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, maybe even Joe Flacco during the course of mandatory minicamp. But I'm here to say maybe those bad stats aren't such a bad thing. Also, the tool that each of our rookie quarterbacks has in their toolbox that hasn't really even been talked about yet, and let alone used so far. And then down in the viewer comments, one person says Kevin Stefanski must stop the charade. We'll find out what he means. And first things first, though, after mandatory minicamp ended, it felt like the linebacker room was a little bit deeper. Carson Schwarzenegger, the second-round pick, Schwarzenegger, running around out there, sideline to sideline, everything we expected him to be. He's JOK 2.0. They're in the middle of that defense. Of course, the Browns re-signed Devin Bush, who filled in nicely for JOK when he got hurt last year after he suffered his neck injury. And then we brought in Jerome Baker, Cleveland's own. He went to Benedictine High School here in Cleveland. He's a 7-year vet. So he's got valuable experience that he's bringing in. And then you mix in Jordan Hicks and Mohamed Diabate. And boy, oh boy, all of a sudden, this is the, we always feel like we've overlooked the linebacker room really the past several years. And but now all of a sudden, when you look at that, man, there's some talent there. There's a nice mix of young guys with veterans. And so coming out of mandatory minicamp, I looked at that too and I thought, you know what? We might be better off at linebacker than we think. Now, another place where we have plenty of people to pick from is the quarterback room. And everybody's talking about the rough stats that were put up by at least 3 of our 4 quarterbacks. And we'll put up the stats first. But I want to explain why I think this isn't such a bad thing to have these bad stats. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, here they are again. And I know the big mystery is, where did everybody's interceptions go? Because everybody, we know Gabriel threw interception, and but I think this was OTAs versus minicamp. But it says OTA and minicamp stats, but the interceptions aren't there. I don't know if the ESPN Cleveland quarterback tracker person had a senior moment or something. I don't know, but Shedeur is the only one with an interception. But we all know that is not true. But when you look at it, Flacco completed 53% of his passes, Pickett 60% of his passes, and Gabriel 58% of his passes. Then there's Shedeur, 77% of his passes completed during the last week or two here. And so, why should we feel good about this? Well, here's the thing, folks. A good NFL completion rate is 60 to 65%, somewhere in there. 62 to 65% is what they're saying. Breeze has the record for completion percentage in the season. 2018, 74% was his. Now, why is this good? You ready? Here we go. I'm going to tell you why I think this is a good thing. It is because defense is balling out. I think that, is it more a reflection of quarterback play, or is our defense, are we an elite defense? And so that's what it got me wondering. I'm like, because think about it. Pickett and Gabriel were the ones, and Flacco were the ones that went against the ones. So I'm just making the connection, folks. And so, and the other good thing about this is, our quarterbacks having to go against our defense I mean, if it is what I think it is or what I think it's going to be, then it's only going to make our quarterbacks better. And so that's why when you look at those stats, maybe you can attribute it to our defense. And so, which is, like I said, which is not a bad thing. If we can get that defense going, holy moly. All right, now, speaking of the quarterbacks, our rookie quarterbacks. Now, I think there's a tool in each of their boxes that really hasn't been talked too much about too much lately, or even, I mean, at all, since we got going here, since they got to Cleveland. And, it's using their feet. I mean, these quarterbacks can run a little bit when you need them to run. And there was some great information put out by a man named Jacob Gibbs. He works with CBS's Fantasy Football Today. And this was fantasy related, but I think it applies to what we're doing here. And so the first stat he had was career college football scramble rate. So he's applying it to who you want to draft this year in fantasy football. And equating it to what these guys did in college, and he compares it to the pros. But anyway, we're going to stick to the college game because, we got two rookie quarterbacks who just got out of college. And so there you go. You see Malik Willis. Those are the top five. Daniels, Hurts, Fields, and Milroe in there at 5. So if you think about that, folks, when you're putting together your fantasy teams. But then at 18, 7.6% scramble rate, Shedeur Sanders, and 33, 4.4% Dylan Gabriel. Now, I would personally, I thought Shedeur's number would be a little bit higher because, we hear how bad that offensive line was in Colorado, but 7.6%. Now, there's another stat that he put up, and the two flip-flop. And this is designed rush rate. So these are rushes that are designed for the quarterback. And you see Dylan Gabriel there at 8.2%. He comes in at 28th on the list. But let's start at the top. Hurts and Jackson, Milroe, Hooker, and Richardson. So those are the guys they designed runs for. And then down there at 28 and 37 are our guys, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Now, one thing I will say about Gabriel. Like last year, he ran 93 times, 373 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And when you look over here, I mean, that was the highest rushing touchdown for quarterbacks nationally. Was what Dylan Gabriel had, the 12. But then you look at his career, he ran for over 1,200 yards. I mean, this was at how many different schools? Plus, he was in school for 10 years. And 33 touchdowns. But I will say this, another stat that they pulled up, and I was going to use it, but it was the graphic would have been way too busy. But this is all you need to know. He faced a light box, Dylan Gabriel did in college, over 60% of the time. Oregon runs that spread. So they spread you out. And so you've got that light box up front. And so it attributed to that. I don't think he's going to see those light boxes in the NFL. And so I just thought that this was really interesting. Putting this up. And now Kenny Pickett, if you're wondering about him, this is what he's done so far, and he didn't run much in college. I remember his most memorable run at Pitt was the fake slide against Wake Forest, and he ran for the touchdown. But in Pittsburgh, he had 42 attempts for 54 yards his rookie year, 55 attempts for 237 yards his second year. Didn't really run it much. Run it kind of a lot, 55 for maybe that's they keep saying how bad the offensive line was there. He had 3 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns total in Pittsburgh. And then last year was, he had 9 rushing attempts for 15 yards and a touchdown, but he barely played last year. So Pickett, not much of a runner. But our other guys, they'll run it a little bit when you need them to. And I just think that's one of the facets of their game that we haven't heard much about. And I'm going to be very interested to see as training camp moves along, how they implement it. Shedeur, we mentioned it the other day. He did run a touchdown at minicamp. He ran one in the other day. So he did use his legs. And so that is something that I think is not talked about enough with both of those guys. But if you're asking me who might be better ready for the pro game, running the ball, it's probably going to be Shedeur Sanders because Dylan Gabriel is just not going to see all of those light boxes like he did in college. Now, listen. No light boxes here. You guys are always running downhill. Top of the heap, the viewer comments today. We're going to start with Sylvia Blue 9889, who says, they say it doesn't matter, but those numbers do matter. Yeah, I mean, sure. Like, why would we keep them then if they didn't matter? And I know, Kevin Stefanski keeps saying don't read into anything, but I mean, you got to have something to go on, right? Like, if you get your electric bill and it's $200, and every other month it's been $40, you're going to look at the numbers and say, what happened, right? Like, the numbers matter. I agree. Like, it's nothing else. It's a gauge. It gives you an idea of what's going on out there. Keith Greer, 4624. It's been Pickett's job since day one. Why is Stefanski carrying on with this charade? It could be. I'm just hoping they're showcasing him so we can trade him, get him out of here. But that's, remember we talked about this a few weeks ago. We kept hearing that, Pickett is supposed to be the guy. At least to get the first shot. When I say the guy, I'm like talking about the guy to get the week one. And then we'll see where we go from there. We got to remember, he gets hurt all the time. So even if he does win this job and starts week one, chances are he's not going to be there very long because he gets hurt all of the time. And Flacco's 40. So he we're going to get to the rookies. We will get to the rookies. Hopefully, I want the rookies to watch a little while, but we'll get to them eventually. Spicy Dre, 8017, great handle. I've never seen so many Browns channels. Now, Spicy Dre, I will tell you that this show was started well before we picked Shador. So I just appreciate that there are a lot of people who like Shador and are here watching. I appreciate that. Trideo4 Gaming. Now listen to this. He says, Days, I owe you an apology. I keep getting you mixed up with the other older guy. Okay, so when I read this, I was like, well, sad that he misspelled my name. Happy that he thinks he owes me an apology. Sad that he thinks I'm an older guy. But happy that I'm not the guy he keeps thinking of. So I don't know what to do with that. But there you go. I appreciate it, I think, for the comment. Okay, and then Tim Green, this is how we're going to end it. And this is a good way to end this one. On Father's Day especially. I'm going to miss Chubb. Let's hope our top 3 running backs stay healthy. If Judd, Sampson, or Ford get hurt, we'll be in trouble. Pierre Strong couldn't find a hole in a donut. And so I don't even think Pierre Strong is going to be on this team, to be honest. And I think I think Judkins and Sampson, they're going to balance them enough, or hopefully we'll keep them out of harm's way and keep them on the field. And I think we're looking at 2 potential 1,000-yard rushers in those 2, and you mix Ford in there. But it could happen. But as far as Nick Chubb is concerned, yeah, he posted that nice message to the fans of Cleveland. He's a class act, man. Like, that's the guy, you want 53 of those kind of guys on your team. Like, and you'd be set. If you could have that every single year, you would be set for life. Nick Chubb, class act. And so we wish him well in Houston, just not when Houston plays us. So, all right, that's going to do it. Again, happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. And hey, let's get to 6,000 and I'll throw on a different shirt. Let's try that. How about that? All right. Hey, have a great day, folks. We'll be back all week. Don't worry. There's always something to talk about when it comes to our Cleveland Browns. Go Browns! We'll see you next time.